So, what I want to talk to you about today is some really fundamental things that are happening in the world. For the past 50 years or so, big brands and big corporations have literally faked their way into our hearts, into our minds, into our wallets by producing very average products and services and using clever advertising and manipulative marketing techniques to literally persuade and seduce us to buy their products and services. And we trusted these big organisations, these brands, and they've abused our trust. And what happened maybe 3 years ago was something that is maybe once in every 50 or 60 years. We had the perfect storm. We had a global recession. We had mass media adoption of social media. We had high-speed internet and mobile technologies all colliding together at the same time. And in this perfect storm, we paused for a moment. We had a moment of self-reflection. And in that moment, everything changed. And we realised that we had the power, not the big brands and the corporations. We could literally name and shame products overnight on the internet. We had the ability, not by trusting brands, but by talking to our friends and peers and reviews on websites, to literally vote whether it was a holiday, whether it was a car, a laptop or a server. We had the ability now to tell companies whether they were making good things or bad things. And this age of profiteering that companies had grown up with for the past 50 years was coming to an end. So it wasn't this era of change that we've become familiar with. We were now seeing a change of era. We as human beings wanted something different, something more meaningful. We didn't want to be abused by the old profit capitalist model anymore. And what started to happen as the world started to spin faster and faster and faster is that we decided to have a new set of ideals. We decided that we didn't want to be sold to anymore. We wanted brands to invest in building a relationship with us. We didn't want traditional advertising to be the way it was. We wanted brands to use content to try and engage us. We moved away from products being the hero to buying brands that had a story to tell, that had some kind of meaning behind them. And one of the bigger challenges we're finding is this notion of big business profiteering without consequence, and now this whole notion of profit with purpose. So businesses are organising themselves to add value above and beyond the products they sell to us. What we've seen for the past 50 years is the dominant business model in the West has been screw your employees, screw your customers, screw the environment, screw the communities in which you do business, develop very average products and services, and if you do that really well, you'll make a profit. Okay? And now we're saying, what would happen if you loved your employees, you loved your customers, you protected the planet for the next generation, you gave back to the societies in which you do business, and you built amazing products and services for your customers? Can you make more money, more profit with that way of thinking? And that is this change that we're seeing now. Yet, back in the 70s, Milton Friedman, who was arguably the celebrated economist of his day, said the purpose of business was to make a profit. As simple as that. Any deviation in terms of philanthropy, volunteerism, CSR would eventually be a cost that would get borne by the consumer. Yet even then, someone called David Packard of Hewlett-Packard, one of the biggest tech companies in the world, had a different vision. His view was that business was about the coming together of people with a shared set of beliefs in order to create something that was mutually beneficial to society. And that way of thinking is now creeping back into modern business. When asked what is the role of business in society, only 6% of consumers say the role of business is to make a profit. 6%. And nearly 60% say the role of business is to invest more in societies, in communities, into the environment. Now, if we're thinking like this, and big businesses trying to screw us over by making products that contaminate the earth and don't do good for society, then you can start to see how there's a real conflict between what business wants to do and what we want business to do. And so what we're seeing now is this shift from this dominant profit capitalist model to a more conscious, more compassionate, more value and values-driven capitalist model. So where does that leave us? Well, in my view of the world, business needs to adopt one very simple strategy. Focus on building remarkable products and services build remarkable customer experiences and have those experiences delivered by employees who are really engaged and motivated by the business. And if you follow that customer-centric view of the world, profits will come.